welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to see how we can perform load testing inside Salesforce using SOAP UI and its inbuilt functionality. Before we are going to proceed, kind of one statement I would like to make is Salesforce does not suggest or allow load testing on its platform because it's a multi-tenant already optimized to scale for billions of record, thousands of user. Basically, you need to submit a test case plan to your account executive or the support. They will review the plan and they will provide you some feedback, and after that only you can perform the load testing inside Salesforce. If you are interested in a very short video, maybe less than 5 minutes, there is another another YouTube video on my channel which will explain in short that how this is being done. So I would say go through that video. If you're happy within 5 minutes, great, but if you want to go in detail, come back on this video. So first step would be, of course, you need to have a SOAP UI. In today's demo, I am going to use SOAP UI 5.5.0. First step would be, of course, we need to get the API from Salesforce. So this is my Salesforce developer org. Go to setup, and there are multiple ways you can perform integration with Salesforce using any middleware tool or any external tool. So for an example, if you go on API integration, there are so many other options are available: enterprise WSDL, partner WSDL. What I'm interested in is partner WSDL because this is loosely typed WSDL. You don't really need to change this WSDL if there is any change in your metadata. So I'm going to use this one, and what I will do is I will save this on my desktop, and on my desktop I will say partner WSDL. So in my download folder I see multiple files. I will go ahead and use this file. It says I'm going to create a sample request. Right now I'm not going to create any test suite and mock service. So once WSDL is imported, it will appear in my projects. I have a YouTube workspace. In that workspace I can have multiple projects. So these are all the operations of all these sub-bindings. If you can see, there's multiple options here. First thing always you have to do is, of course, login. So I will say login. I will say create a new request. I will say, you can give it name. I will say login request, and we first need to test it's working fine or not. So if you can see, the question mark says these are the parameters I need to say. So I'm saying, okay, I don't need to provide any call option. I really no need to provide any login scope header. All I can do is provide my username, password. Of course, I'm gonna change this password after this demo, but let's say my password is something like change me one, and I will say you can press on this icon which says this request is going to be submitted to this endpoint. I'm saying let's submit this. As you can see, login is successful. Now what we are going to do is, after the login successful, we are going to create an account. So as a part of this load testing, what I would be showing you is how, let's say, 5 threads or 5 users will hit this API at the same time, let's say for the 5 seconds. So we are going to load test for 5 seconds by 5 users, and imagine what kind of the testing you can perform. So let's say if you have a trigger on account or any other object, you can see the performance of that trigger. If you're thinking, oh, my governor limit is going to hit or not, you can check those governor limit. You can see the timing, how much time Salesforce is taking, all those sort of thing, and that's what exactly the purpose of load testing. So after login, the most important thing is the session ID. We need a session ID. I'm going to copy this session ID from here, and let's say I'm going to create account record. So if I go here, I will say create a new request. I will say create account. So there's so many other options are here. Really, I don't need all these options. What I can do is I can minimize these options to only what I need exactly to pass. So I will say I don't really need any email header. session is my, so what I will do is I will do something like this. So I copy this session from my login. Now for our purpose, what I'm going to do is I will just insert an object. So object is already there, and what we are going to say is object, I will remove all these objects from here, and I'm saying that okay, I need to insert, let's say, account, and API name of account field. So I'm going to insert name. There's a standard field account number I'm going to insert. And most of the time when I do testing, I use one field as my anchor, so that if I need to delete or I need to perform any operation or I need to identify how many records I have inserted, I should be easily able to understand that. So let's see if we can use any field. So okay, I have this field, text field. What I will do is I will go in my SOAP UI and I will say I need to insert this field value. So let's say some sample. I will say sample account from SOAP UI. I will say account number is 123, and the text field, this is going to be my anchor. So I will say inserted via SOAP UI. And let's try to hit. We are going to get multiple errors, and we are going to fix those errors one by one. So if I try to submit this, first thing it is saying is destination URL is not reset, and we have to get this URL from S4 service. So if I go my login request, this was the response, and if you see, this is the URL that we need to use, https my domain name. I will go back in my create account, and I am going to submit, paste this URL. So services will go something like this. Perfect. So now I got this request. I'm going to submit it again. Now it says that a subject type needs to be, and that makes sense. We have to tell what is the subject type. We just say the subject. What is it? Perfect. So I have account, I have this. Perfect. Let's see if operation is success or not. Now you can see operation is successful. Now let's go on the next part. Now as we have seen, everything is working fine. I will collapse everything here, and I will say right click, new test suite, and I will say load testing YouTube demo. And now I will say new test case. I will just say test case, insert account in bulk. Perfect. And now I will say in this load test, we have to add multiple steps. So the first step I will add is, let's add some properties that is going to be reused across this test. So I will say add a step. I will say add a property, and I will say these properties are account properties. Perfect. Now in these account properties, I am going to create two parameters. One I will say account name, and another parameter I will say as account number. The starting value of this account number, let's say, is 100, and we are going to keep incrementing this account number every time. So let's close this. This is the first one parameter. Now first thing we have to do is generate a random account number. Let's go ahead, add one more step, and I will say Groovy script and generate account name. Let's say this is the name of Groovy script. Basically you have to define a method saying that generator, and you all you have to pass is how many uh, digit you need, and it generates. So what I did is I call the generator method here. I said okay, I need a number between A to Z, 0 to 9 for the 9 alphabets, and save that information in this variable account name. Now let's see if this script is going to work properly or not, and for that we can use a method something like log.info. and I will say print account name. Let's see if it works. So if I execute this, as you can see, random number just got generated. If keep adding every time the random account name, that's exactly what we want. So getting the account name was pretty straightforward. Just you need to have a Google search skill and you would be good. Now what I will do is I will set this value on my account property. So if I open my account property here, I this value should go here, and how that I can do is I can do something like this. I will say test runner dot test case, the current test case. I will say get test step by name. Now my test step name, as you can see, is ACC properties, and from that test step I'm going to set this parameter. So I took this property, this parameter I want to set. I will say set property value, and our property value is account name, and then I'm saying you have to set the variable that we just created. Our variable name is ACC name. Let's see how it works. So you can see all the screen here. If I click here, as you can see, properties are being set here, like set here. As you can see, every time this code runs, every time it will get the account number. So that's exactly what I wanted. Now what I want is I want to read this account number from, so here I'm setting the account name. Now I need to do opposite. I need to read the account number. So that how I can do is I will define a variable saying I need account number, and I will follow the same test runner dot test case dot get property value, and the property value that I'm interested is, as you can see, account number. Now at this stage what we have done is we have our Groovy script ready, which to generate the account name randomly, and what we are going to do is we are going to read an account number also from the property file. So let's go back here and see so the step looks like is, first of all we are setting a property and then we are generating an account name. What we should do is we should have a code ready to log in. So what I will do is I will say insert step soap request. I will say login to Salesforce, and let's search our binding here. Our request is login. Okay, and we already have a login request here. We can just copy this as it is and we can paste here, and let's run it. So you can see our login request is running. Same way we should add our create request. So I will go back here. I will add one more step saying create account, and here we have a create. Say okay. Here also we have create account request already that we tried previously. I will just copy paste it here as it is. And another thing, we already know that what is the binding here. So we will go here on the create account and we will bind it here. Let's see if it works. My session already expired. That makes sense. What I can do is this. Let's go back here, run login again, get the new session from this login, copy this, we go create account and we can paste this session here and then try to create a record. Now you can see everything is good. If I go on my developer console, previously there were 2 accounts created. If I refresh this grid, okay, I think I have to log in again here. I will say I'm going developer console, and if you see refresh, I have a 3 grid here available. So now the only thing we have to do is, we don't want to always go in the login, read the session and add it in the create account request. Of course, if you want to do it automated load testing, it has to be automated. So how we can do it? So for that, the SOAP UI has a step where you can say something like property transfer. So after login, I will insert step. I will say transfer the property. I will say read session ID. And now here what we have to do is, so this the output of login to Salesforce. If you go here, this is the response. Copy this. We need to read this session ID basically, and for that what we have to do is we have to find the XPath. Now if you're expert already in XPath, you can go and you can manually compute XPath. Basically XPath would be envelope, body, response, result, session ID. That is a one way if you're an expert. Another way is, there is a website that you can leverage. That website name is xmlgrid.net. So I will go in my browser and I will say this xmlgrid.net XPath. And what we will do is we will copy this as it is and we will paste it here, load it. Now it will give you a very nice overview of what are the elements here. And like I said, in our envelope, let's see where we can find cancel. So in envelope, we have to go and save soap body. Let's see if I can expand this. Okay, here. Now in here, we have to go to the login response. Then we have result. And the result, we have this session ID. You can go ahead and can say copy or show XPath. We can copy this XPath here. Go back in SOAP UI and you have to say that the first we have to add here and you can say session. You can specify some name. So you're saying source is login to Salesforce. It automatically detected that target is create account, and we are saying that we are going to read the response from here and we are going to transfer it to request and we are going to use XPath, something like this. So you pasted the XPath here. Now we have to go to account request. Now we have to paste our session ID here. So basically read session ID from here and paste session ID there. That's what we have to do. So I will copy this XPath. I will go back in the same website. Let's refresh this. I'm pasting it, load, and here now if you see we have header. In header we have to go to session header and we have to populate here. So I will say show XPath, copy this and paste it here, something like this. So basically that's what we are saying. We are saying from login read the response of session ID and in the request transfer that property here. Now one small trick is sometimes SOAP UI doesn't work pretty well. So what we have to do is we have to remove all these namespace by wildcat character, which is asterisk. So I will replace SOAP env by star asterisk. Everything good, looks good here. I will say asterisk here. Say asterisk here. URN also is asterisk and This is also a string. Let's play. As you can see right now, it is saying transferred value is this. I need to check if there is some mistake anywhere. So all looks good in the session header. We are saying that we are transferring this response to this request. Let's play again. Okay, it says transfer value is null. I know what is the issue here. What we can do is, even though there is no namespace here, we have to use the wildcard character here as well for the sake of syntax. Now let's try. Now you can see we are able to read the session ID. Awesome. So if you see the step what we just did, let me recap. We have created two account property that we are going to use to create an account, and then we have used a Groovy script to generate the random account number and they read that property. Then we are logged into Salesforce. We are reading a session ID from Salesforce, and we are going to create an account now. Now the only challenge right now we have is we need this name to come from that property. We want this account number also to come from that property, and let's see how we can do that. So we can access the property in SOAP UI using this syntax. We have to give this file name acc properties and then hash, or you can say pound, and here you have to give the property name. So we will go back here and you can say hash v. Same way we can do the account number also. So the account number is, again go back in this property, read the account number and paste it here. Perfect, and everything looks good. Now what we can do is let's run it and see if things are working fine or not. But before that, if I go on my developer console, run this query again, I see there are 3 records. What I will do is I will clean up these records. So I have a delete command saying delete all the account where text field is inserted. Like I said, I always use text field as an anchor field so that I can do my operations to clean up. I'm saying let's delete these records. If I run my SQL query again, there is a 0 record. I can validate now here in my SOAP UI. Let's run this. If everything works as expected, then I should see account record again. As you can see, account record again. What I can do is I can add some more value, account number, and if I execute this, account number is 100. That's exactly what we did in our property. If you go back here, we see that our starting number is 100. If I run this again, let's say 2 times, 1, 2, I should see 2 records. So 1 plus 2, 3 records should be here. Awesome. Now the only problem in this is my account number is 100. If somehow I could increment this account number by 100, 101, 102, I should be in a good position. So the only last part missing here is how we can increase this value. I think for that, what we need to do back again, we already have this, saw how powerful Groovy scripts could be for the SOAP UI. I will say right click, insert a step, and I will say Groovy script increment account number. And now I'm going to write some Groovy code here pretty fast. So let's see. Now this method takes integer as a format, so we cannot pass account number here. We will get an error, so we have to say to string. Now let's see. So if everything will work fine, if I open my property and if I keep 100, and let's try to increment this. As you can see, in the behind the scene it is changing 1, 2, 3, Perfect. So everything looks good. I can just comment this. We really don't need to log anything. And let's run this test suite again. So if I open here, let me go back here. I will clean up this. I will refresh the grid. There is no record in the system right now. And I will run this test case multiple times. As you can see, it is taking more time in the create account rather than the login itself. So if I refresh my grid, as you can see, my account numbers are increasing pretty good. This is exactly what I want. So everything is good. Now let's see how we can run it in a bulk. So to run this in a bulk, what we have to do is we have to go on the load test. We see new load test. I will say load test account create, and I'm going to say let's run this script in a 5 different thread for, let's say, 10 seconds. Okay, and as you can see, each step is going to give you the timing. So it will tell you how much time it took in login, how much time it took in create account, how much time. So basically you can avoid read session time, you can avoid this time in your final test performance calculation number. The best part is it gives you transaction per second information, all like bytes and bps. Maybe that is useful or not. So let's do this. I'm saying the test delay is going to be 1 second, and let's run the thread. But before that, let's validate. We don't have any record in the Salesforce right now. Now, one thing for cautious, that our logic to auto increment is going to work per thread. Now we are running 5 threads. The chances are pretty high that the account will have a duplicate account number, and if you want a unique account number across the thread, then you can use a custom logic, something like test runner dot current thread, and then you can have a logic per thread as well. But that's beyond the scope of this video, so I'm not going to do that. But let's run this. As you can see, 13% completed, 23. As you can see, it's saying 100% this test was completed with the 5 users, and you can see that the transaction per second, as you can see, 32 transactions were happening. Okay, sorry, here 3 transactions were happening per second. For login, almost 3 transactions happened. For create account as well. And if I go in Salesforce org and I say refresh grid, almost 36. So if you convert 3 multiply by 10, almost 30. So in 10 seconds, 5 users can create 36 accounts. That's awesome. So as you can see, some places account numbers are duplicate, like 108, 108 appear multiple times. And if you want this as unique, then you have to have a custom grow script. So I hope this video helps you. You learn something new. Please pass on the feedback, provide your comment, and you can post a question on my blog or my YouTube. Thanks for watching this.